So for the third video of the day, we're going to talk about some of the protesting and rioting a bit. Not really about what's happened, just kind of why is it happening, I guess, so to speak. So from our first article here from the Daily Caller, report on rising far-left extremism raises concerns of possible mass casualty event. A new academic paper studying the rise of violent far-left extremist networks warns of the possibility of attacks on vital infrastructure and even a potential mass casualty event. The Network Contagion Research Institute's report warns that militant anarcho-socialist networks are instigating violence in ways that parallel Islamist terrorist and white supremacist groups. Oh yeah, so we're supposed to worry about white supremacists. The NCRI's alerts have proved present in the past. The Institute released a report warning of spikes in anti-Semitic extremism shortly before the October 2018 Tree of Life synagogue mass shooting that left 11 people dead. The new report, which was released on September 14th, has received little media attention, but sounds alarms about an online structure supporting anarcho-socialist extremism that appears to be rapidly growing and supporting real-world violence, which is true. Twitter. Anarcho-socialist militias, which explicitly glorify martyr narratives, classic authoritarian narratives, and revolutionary narratives, are now formally organizing and are growing, the report adds. The report also cites evidence that both militia and anarchist networks play key roles in the recent social justice protests, from controlling perimeters at Chaz Chop to coordinating nationwide anarchist-inspired violent protests online. We find evidence that violent anarcho-socialist networks played an active online role in preparing for and coordinating real-world riots nationwide and in real time, the report goes on to note. The NCRI report also points to coordinated demonstrations across the country on July 25th, which devolved into riots in 4 cities. We found that distributed anarchist networks prepared, executed, and propagandized simultaneous rallies on July 25th across the United States in a coordinated campaign with the hashtag code #J25, resulting in riots being declared simultaneously in 4 cities: Portland, Oregon; Richmond, Virginia; Eugene, Oregon; and Seattle, Washington, the report states. The NCRI report says that left-wingers have martyrized Willem van Spransen, a self-identified Antifa member who died in a shootout with police in July 2019 after attempting to burn down an immigration detention center in Washington. While this report is suggestive rather than conclusive, these data hint that insurgent behavior, stochastic terror, and even attacks on vital infrastructure may be fomenting and even indicate the possibility of a mass casualty event, the report later concludes. Almost like a civil war, because these people are they're not stopping. They're getting their groups up, they're getting ready, they're arming themselves, they're getting ready to fight. And they're destroying while they get ready. So why are they doing this? Because they want their own power. And that's pretty much it. They want the power themselves. And they're willing to destroy and take out whoever is in their way. Because they don't care. They just want that power. And with that power, they will destroy this entire country and all of its fundamental core values. If they haven't, already. Because they've already started destroying so many of them. Which is quite a shame. We also got from Daily Caller, Patel, Louisville's bumbling authorities are about to get a wake-up call. The downtowns of numerous American cities have been burned up. Government buildings have been attacked. Private businesses have been destroyed. And people have even been killed. This has been happening off and on now for many months. And perhaps most amazing and horrifying of all, the news media has decided to largely ignore it. Yeah, the mainstream media will largely ignore what is happening. You have to go to independent journalists that are willing to stay on the front lines all night to try to get the story and try to find the actual facts. Detailed coverage would undercut the mostly peaceful narrative that many want to cling to. When things get really out of control, the corporate media is forced to report on them in summary fashion, but they have largely abandoned the day-to-day, on-the-ground reporting they would do in virtually any other circumstance. Reporting of that sort is coming from a relatively small number of independent publishers, none more than my own publication, The Daily Caller. And yeah, I see them out on the front lines posting videos, hours of footage daily, just showing the riots, showing the protests, showing destruction, all of it. The Daily Caller sent reporters to every hotspot in America, from Washington, D.C. to Seattle to Portland, Oregon, and Kenosha, Wisconsin. The fact that this medium-sized news outlet has more gruesome footage of what's really going on in our streets than huge corporate media outlets should scare the hell out of you. The corporate media's choice to largely ignore this coverage is, in essence, a decision to distort reality. In the face of this vacuum, we have been filling the void. And yeah, that's true. You're either getting it from random people or from reporters from like the Daily Caller who are willing to go onto the front lines and take video of it, willing to risk their lives to take video of this because they've been harassed by these protesters and rioters for just trying to do their job, for trying to report on it, because they don't want people reporting on the actual truth. And yeah, the media won't be there. They're done. They might get a little couple snapshots here and there, but then they're done. They probably won't even show up. And why are we looking at mainstream media now for news? I don't know why. Because they're not giving anything substantial to us anymore. You have to look at independent journalism at this point. Because the mainstream media is not willing to do it. They will not do on-the-spot reporting anymore. And, I mean, it was actually pretty much proven by the people from Daily Caller here who were going to the front lines. They don't see police. It was in one of Tim Pool's latest videos. Of a stream last night, he had them on, and they were saying that, yeah, we don't see reporters from mainstream media anywhere. It's just us, or maybe a couple of other people. I mean, there's obviously some people, but it's never the mainstream media. It's just independent journalism. Now, why is that? Well, because the mainstream media doesn't want to actually report the truth. They just want to get Trump out of power, out of office. That's all they care about. So they'll push their narrative. And they'll keep pushing it without doing any actual fact-checking or journalism. Or fix their spelling mistakes, for that matter, because boy, are they getting worse and worse to read. We also got then from Fox News here, Breonna Taylor grand jury audio. Officers testified they knocked before entering. Audio ordered to be released noon by Friday. The audio, which the New York Times reported to be estimated 20 hours long, was ordered to be released by noon Friday after Cameron requested a delay earlier this week so his office could have more time to redact people's names and other personal information before it was made public. It includes officers' testimony that they knocked on Taylor's door multiple times and announced a police presence before entering, according to the Associated Press. We knocked on the door, said police, waited, 10 or 15 seconds, knocked again, said police, waited even longer. Louisville Police Lieutenant Sean Hoover said in an interview recorded March 13th, the same date Taylor was shot, and later played for the grand jury. So it was the third time that we were approaching. It had been like 45 seconds, if not a minute, Hoover said, and then I said, let's go, let's breach it. One law enforcement officer testified that police ultimately never executed the warrant to search Taylor's apartment. Were drugs, money, or paraphernalia recovered from apartment 4? The answer to that is no. The officer said on the recording they didn't go forward with executing the initial search warrant that they had for Breonna Taylor's apartment. Taylor, a 26-year-old black woman who worked in an emergency, she did until 2017 and then was fired because she had a dead body in the trunk of a car she was renting. Don't omit that fact, Fox. Says Cameron, a Republican, and states black. That's why mainstream media is just so hard to read. Even Fox News is hard to read because it's just crap you got to go through. It's like, get to the point. For months, the raid had been characterized in reports and by officials as the execution of a no-knock warrant, meaning law enforcement officers enter without knocking or announcing themselves. But Cameron later clarified that officers did knock before breaking down the door. It's not going to matter to these protesters and rioters because it's not about police brutality. It's about them gaining control, them gaining the authority, and that's all they care about. That's all they want. They don't give a damn about Breonna Taylor in all aspects. They just want that power, and they're using useful idiots that did care about Breonna Taylor for their cause. We also got House Republicans call on Nadler to hold hearings on funding behind recent riots. I wouldn't really call on Nadler to do anything, considering he was saying that Antifa is not an organization as well. So really, Jerry Nadler, yeah, okay. Yeah, I wouldn't trust Nadler to do anything. He's not going to find the funding behind these recent riots. Nadler's not going to do anything. I just wouldn't trust it, that's all. Don't trust Nadler in the slightest. So good luck, Republicans, for asking him to try to do anything, because he won't. I guarantee it. With that, I'm going to leave it there. It's the last video of the day. I will see you then tomorrow. Peace.